Okay. See what happens when I turn this off. Oh, chat's still there. Good. Just trying to speed up my internet a bit. So for now, I've lost the links below. That's okay. Hi, Joe. Hi, Donnie. Hi, Claudia. So welcome to the Sunday night talk. There are some links below the video. Hi, Werner. What's there? Let's see if I remember. Yeah, if you want to donate a couple of quid or a couple of dollars to this talk, I'd be very grateful. It really helps me out a lot. And thank you to those who have donated. A few people have donated, so that's really great. What else is there? My book, private sessions. If you want a private session with me, there's a link there, and there's some other things which I don't remember. Hi, Ramona. No, I didn't. I just brushed it. I just brushed it. Yeah. Had a really sleepy day. I've been like asleep most of the afternoon today. Doesn't normally happen, but wow, I was just knackered. Okay. Hi, Clark. Hi, Keel. Oh yeah, Wednesday nights I do a Discord chat, drop-in audio chat. There's a link there to my Patreon, and you can find out how to do that there. The Wednesday night chat is really nice. It's just a very relaxed discussion. Yeah, it's lovely. Oh, thanks, Ramona. Just finishing the second one now. We're on the last edit. Long last. Hopefully get it done before I go away. Still haven't got a title. Hi, Mokshka. Oh, Jupe. Hi, Jupe. So, this apparent thing that we're all looking for. And I wanted to talk about, because I was reminded by seeing somebody here, something we talked about the other night. Hi, Anne. About the fantasy of what is thought that is being looked for. Because what is being spoken here is not about suddenly having no, what is perceived as negative feelings. Emotions still arise, but you see, they've always just arisen. There's only just that claiming self that said they're my emotions, they're my feelings, and now I'm going to have this big story about them. You know, they're bad feelings, and now I feel regretful and worried, but the feelings are just natural to the human. And this is not about escaping those feelings. Those feelings just come on their own. There's nobody doing that. They just arrive, you know, out of nothing. Everything just arrives out of nothing. And feelings in the body is no different to walking outside and seeing the mountain appear. The mountain appears, the feelings appear. This is not about like rising above the whole experience and looking down upon it and having some sort of detached sense of freedom. There is no personal freedom. The freedom is the lack of personal freedom, the lack of the person. Then everything just comes alive. It's revealed that this is just alive and extraordinary and wondrous and free, and it just comes out of nothing. It's just nothing. It's empty. It's empty of something. It becomes whole, but not in a kind of the oneness, we're all one kind of thing. It doesn't have that personal oneness in it. It just is what it is. Yeah, Ramona. Yeah. Hi, Richard. Hi, Joanne. Yeah, this is not about personal freedom, but the sense of self. It operates its base setting is seeking and wanting to be whole again, to be free, to be rid of all these, what it thinks are its feelings and thoughts and dramas. All those feelings and thoughts and apparent situations don't belong to that person. They just appear. But then, so the same can be said about the person. The person is just an appearance in this. It's not separate from this. It's an illusion of being separate. It's an illusory appearance that claims it's somebody and claims it's separate and has this engine running that it wants to be whole again. But the thing about that is that the sense of self wants to know that. It wants to feel that for itself. It wants to relax in that. Feel that it's finally got there. Hi, Andrea. Oh, hi, Paul. It feels it wants to have arrived. But this arrival, you can't find it. It never actually comes. Nothing actually ever arrives. It's always just what's appearing. It's always just this. And this is the freedom. I was talking to someone today about an interviewer and that quote he always has. I can't remember what that quote is. Something about something like awakening is an accident, and practice makes the person accident prone. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing. Well, nobody becomes awake, and this is what is revealed. It's revealed that there wasn't ever anybody there, and that it was just an appearance. So practice doesn't bring the person to anywhere because the person never arrives at a place. And practice doesn't make the person go away because nobody can do that. The person cannot do that. It either happens or it doesn't happen. And neither are actually more special than the other. One is not more important than the other, but that for that appearance of self, it feels like falling away is the most important thing in its life. And unbeknown to it, it is freedom. But I know what it says. I know that it says, no, I'm not freedom. I'm not free yet. But that's its base setting, is to say that, is to have that appearance that I'm not free. Hi, Joe. Hi, Koshi. What if the seeker surrenders within itself? What if the seeker collapses in itself? Well, if the seeker decides to surrender, it won't collapse. Unless by some absolute miracle it does. But you see, surrendering is a practice. I'm not speaking, when I'm speaking here, I'm not speaking to people. I'm not speaking to the person. From here, there are no people. There's nobody here. There's nobody here typing. Of course, there's humans typing. There's people with characters and personalities and different faces and everything. But that thing that appears in that human and its characteristics and all its life is not the person. It's not a person. It's a kind of it's this crunched up little fake reality that this human thinks it's operating from. So when that contracted self says, I'm just going to surrender, it's looking for something to happen for itself. Oh, that's better. It's looking for something to happen for itself. If I surrender, then I will collapse. But the me cannot collapse in that way because it's just revealed that it wasn't real. And then it appears to collapse. But it's not like it dies or somebody dies or anything. It's just that it just was never a person. I can't really say it more simply. Hi, Sergey. It's nice to see some of the people here on the Wednesday night chat as well. It's really nice. Ramona, such a shame it ain't that. Ha. Shame I can't rise above and beyond. That the whole first reason to get into it, to get untouchable, that is so ridiculously funny to realize that that was my first reason. Yeah, it's that sense of self feels so insecure. I mean, not all the time, but a lot of the time it feels so insecure because it's the appearance of separation. So it has a kind of it feels lost, and it feels like it's lost something. It needs to get it back, and it kind of believes, especially when there's all this. We're very much indoctrinated in this sort of seeking circles, as it were. That freedom is somehow some kind of rising above it and not being touched by anything. But the human is no longer touched by life, and that's not true. The human is still very much touched by life. It's not like being some sort of nirvana heaven where I'm completely above it all and all you mere mortals are down there and I'm up here in my spiritual heaven. No, no, the human is definitely down in the life drama like everybody else. This is not about becoming somebody special. It's actually quite the opposite. And it becomes absolutely ordinary. But that in itself is extraordinary because it's a surprise that there was never anything to find. That it was always here. It's always this. It's always appearing. Life is always appearing. Paul, going to still the 12 steps meeting and enjoy them, but concerned that listening to endless stories is feeding the me. Well, the me will tell itself that story. It will tell itself that story. You know, this is feeding the me, all these stories. But stories are meaningless. You know, they're meaningful to the person who really believes them, and that's okay. But the me will make up any story to get a little grip on its fake reality. Nothing wrong in going to 12 steps. You know, you can listen to the stories. It's just what's happening in the end. It's just what's happening. I know. Newish to non-duality, under the premise that everything arrives and nobody is there to be awake, etc. Would you agree that non-duality itself and discussion of it is pointless in terms of... Yeah, totally. I'm not here. I don't do this for any purpose. I don't speak about this to help people. There's just a desire or a kind of a rising to bounce around in the wonder. Just bounce around in the wonder of it. And just to also to say, you know, to point to the illusion of the self. Because there's always that possibility that that sense of self might collapse. And I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen, you know, I've seen someone on this talk where it's happened, where it's happening. But that's not to help people get free or anything like that. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. And yeah, in terms of awakening, I say that very like this, nothing can get the person there, but it can be heard. This message can be heard. The message of freedom can just be, it's just like, oh yeah. I mean, the sense of self will fight it. It will, but that's its base setting. It fights all the time. It fights for its sense of being, its sense of life, its sense of being somebody. This message will rock that boat. Keel. So I'm not free. I'm not free is a lie, just as I is a lie. I'm not free. Well, I'm not free because there's no longer that I that's claiming that it's not free. So if someone said, okay, sorry, I'm reading this wrong. So I am not free is a lie. Yeah, it's a story, Keel. It's a story, just as I is a lie. Yeah, that sense of I pretends to be a real person. It's an appearance, it's an illusory appearance that is convinced it's a real person. So it tells itself it's not free. So the whole thing is a fake story that it tells itself. Yeah. No, everything is just happening. So there is no difference between someone who has heard about non-duality to someone who hasn't, because there is no someone. It would be great to have your views on that. No, there's no difference. There's no difference. But the only quote I ever make, which is a Richard Sylvester quote, which I really love, and it made me laugh a lot when I read it. He said, "There's no difference between being awake and asleep unless you're awake." Because when it's realized that this person that apparently lived in the body was not real, then that is clearly seen. But when that whole reality is centered around that person, it can't be seen. So this is two apparent realities. One is just, well, nothing happening, just what is, and this other one, which is, it's happening to me. But really, in reality, neither make any difference, because life doesn't give a damn about either. Life doesn't care. Life gives birth to everything and it annihilates everything. It just, in reality, it doesn't make any difference, no. Oh, that's okay. Joe, welcome to the unknown. That reminds me of that Matrix quote. Welcome to the real. Yeah, so there is no difference between someone who has heard about non-duality to someone who hasn't. No, there's no difference. Every single appearance, every human, every animal, every tree is the same aliveness. Not one is more than another. Not one knows something more than another. It's just the appearance of knowing something, like knowing how computer science is, or something like that. Someone might know that and someone might not. But in terms of freedom, there's not anybody who knows something more than another. In fact, really, this is about not knowing something anymore. This is the freedom from needing to know, the freedom from that seeking to know something, to know what freedom is. It's like, the sitting here saying it's all freedom. It's not that is known as knowledge. It's not something in the brain that knows that as knowledge. It's just obvious. It's just what is happening. It's like when you see water, and you don't have to know that it's water. It's obvious it's water. It's a kind of similar analogy where it's obvious that this isn't personal anymore. This is not coming out of a stream of time. It is and it isn't, but it's appearing out of nothing. Because you can't find where it appears from. It just appears out of nothing. It's just too immediate. Ramona, the joy of not knowing. Shit, fuck. Yeah, there's a relaxing then, you see, when that sense of wanting to know something, wanting to know what this is, which nobody can. There's like that whole contracted sense of seeking and wanting and trying, it just completely drops away. So that is a lot more relaxing for the body. There's a lot more energy, she said, sleeping all afternoon. So there's a lot more energy in the body. It's not drowned out by the story of me, which is such a burden on the body, such a burden on the system. Keel. So me is a lie, a very convincing lie, but it's made up by the brain, not by me. That's why I, the me, does not sense that it's a lie. I don't know where it's made up of. All I can remember is that it's a very contracted sense of center. I don't know what it's made up of. It's just appears out of nothing. It's energetic because it can still be there when there's no thinking processes going on. But it appears because it's felt, and you can see the stories going on, you can see the things it's convincing itself. It feels real, but the lie is that it's not who you are. It's fake. It's delusional. It's a delusion. It's an illusory delusion. Joe, our true nature is selfishness. Yeah, the self is totally, everything happens on a 360-degree around this center of self. It is the absolute center of everything. And it pits itself against everything, or tries to reach out to everything, where it doesn't realize that it is everything. And it's almost too simple to be known. The me complicates everything. Yeah, it makes a real big song and dance out of the whole thing. All it's grasping and trying, when there's nothing to grasp at. Nothing. Tangerine. Muji uses an optic illusion of the vase and the two faces to show how we see both states at the same time or switch between them. But I'm finding it's more like you said, one or other, no control. Yeah, you can't really, you can't switch between them as if like it's something that you can do. No, that's not the experience here anyway. When there was that sense of self coming on strong, you know, it couldn't decide to not be there anymore. It'd be grasping to not be there and, you know, and try and go, where is it? I've lost it. I've lost it. But it can't, the human can't decide to suddenly not be there. If only. Yeah, it's either sense of self or no sense of self. And I see it, you know, the people I talk to, they are switching between the two. But there's no control over that because there's no control over anything. There's no, for the sense of self, there's no control over it. You can't escape this appearance. You could try running out the door, running down the street, and it's always there, isn't it? It's just always there. And the sense of self feels like it's always there. It can't run from itself. It can just attempt to. But that's what it does. It's life contracted down into feeling like it's separate from life. Life having an evil joke. Joe, one thing at a time. Well, it can appear like that, but really it's just everything's just landing at once, constantly, too immediate. CDD, hi Lacey, speak the truth. not only is this me listening, but the message is being heard and recognized as truth. Yet somehow recognized. Something kind of knows that this seeking energy is just not right. Just not. Something's like with a lot of people in like this message and spiritual messages and even religion are looking for a way out because they've had enough. You know, the me's become too much of a burden. It's become too rampant. It's basically stolen the show and it's got out of control. And there's a sense of like, it just doesn't feel right, you know, but what happens is the sense of self thinks that it can find it. It can find it, but it's not. It doesn't. But it can be revealed that it isn't who I am, that there is no I am. No I am. Amazing. Ramona, I can't run for myself. No. Because, you know, before I even read the rest of this message, I can't run for myself because there is no self. The whole thing is a story. It's this contracted sense of self that makes a big story. I need to run from myself, but you can't actually find what it's running towards or what it's running from or what is even running. You just can't find it. It's just not there, except for a sense or a feeling or an energetic contraction. Shit, Lisa, don't kill my dreams. But yes, I feel the whole conditioning of the person has been out on finding mental ways to not feel pain now. That conditioning is who I think I am. Yeah, it's always looking for a way out of the feelings of the human. And that actually just aggravates those feelings, if anything. CDD. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Clark, so your me doesn't fire up in the morning as it does here. I'm good till I'm conscious, lol. No, just the eyes open and the body gets out of bed slowly. This person doesn't wake up like springtime. Gets out of bed, goes and makes a coffee, sits down, goes outside or opens the computer. But there's no me that fires up, no. No, there's not even a there's not, it's just no, it just, the body just gets up. But you know what? The body just gets up there. But the sense of self thinks, I'm getting up. Now I'm here. I'm here. See, I'm here. Here I am, me. I'm here. Acknowledge me. Because it wants love. It wants to be safe again. It wants to be back to how it was when it was 2-3 years old, when it was running around without a care in the world about itself, with no self-consciousness. It wants that. It wants to go home. But it doesn't realize it's always home. It's not home, but this is always home. But it's missed by seeking. Hi, Paul. Oh, thank you, Paul. Yeah, thanks. Brain is part of the nervous system, so yeah, you can't divide brain from the rest of the body, I guess, yeah. But it's energy anyway, me or no me. It's never caused by me. No, it's not, exactly, yeah. The me is not doing the me. The me says, it's my fault, I'm doing it, but it's not. It's an appearance. And I know that the sense of self is not going to like this, but it's a really clever, ingenious appearance. It's just, when I look back, you know, to this body thinking it was somebody and it was separate and it was this and everything was happening to me. Why me? I mean, what an ingenious appearance for this absolute everything to appear as separate. But I know that it feels crap, especially when that seeking energy is really on and that feeling of self-consciousness is really on. It's very, very uncomfortable. But sometimes this message, by whoever's saying it, it's not the, nobody here is saying it, but by whatever body is saying it or reading it or whatever, it's just somehow heard. But it's not heard by the me. The me wants to hear it. I want to hear it. I want to hear it. But behind that, something hears the message. And there are those moments of, oh yeah. And then the me comes back. I want it. I want it. I want to feel free. But behind that, there is a kind of a sense of hearing it. It's kind of obvious. It's like, I don't know if you guys feel it like this or hear it like this. When you hear it, it's like, yeah, it's really obvious. What's being said is really obvious. But I can't find it, but it's really obvious. Hi, Pat. Bull Films. Ah, interesting. As you said, makes sense. What are you running from and what are you running towards? Yeah, because you can't find any of it. You can't even find the me. It's just a sense of somebody looking around for itself. Yeah, that's all it is. But it's no different from the plant or the air. Joe, there's no place like home. No, there isn't. For no one. Keel, it's not anybody hearing it. Could the body just come to the conclusion enough is enough? It was a nice try, but it doesn't work for me. It's more like, well, I can only speak from here, you know. I mean, I don't know what goes on in other bodies. But here, it was, the message was heard. There was something going on anyway, you know, and I guess that is with many people. There's something kind of not right, something's loosening somehow. And then, you know, in this case, I went to see Tony. You know, I'd done the whole Muji thing. And another teacher. And then I, you know, went to see Tony. And he just said it so straight that somehow the whole illusion was just exposed, just utterly exposed. And it was just like, oh yeah, it's not real. And it just collapsed temporarily and came backwards and forwards till, yeah. Yeah, so could the body just come to the conclusion? It's just revealed more than a conclusion. It's not kind of a working out of something. Not here anyway. It was just exposed. Yeah. And it just collapsed. And it was funny. Hi, Cara. Do you have desires? Desires. Don't know. Things can appear that I want to do. Like if I want to make some art, that desire to make it will appear. Or if I want to see a friend or call a friend, and that will appear. But it's not there's no permanent desires. They just happen. They just pop up. You say, oh, I'm going to book a trip to Malaysia. You know, the feeling of like, I like traveling. So this character has a propensity towards desiring to travel, visiting new cultures and things. But it's not like I have a desire. It's more like the desire is just there. But desires are often a characteristic of the human. The sense of self might get hold of it and say, it's my desire. And now I'm a failure because I haven't achieved my desire. I'll make a big story out of it. But really, desires are just, you know, there's just something in the human. And sometimes it's so clear, so obvious, but not yet fully living it. Well, apparently, nobody is living it. You won't live it, Anne. You won't live it. You won't be in it. When that sense of self is not there, you won't be in it to live it. You're nobody living it. There's nobody here living this. It's just a functioning brain, body, mind thing here. It's not somebody living this. It's freedom from having to live it. Cara, relationships, romantic? Not for some time. I don't normally talk about the personal things like that. But no desire for that, no. Maybe Lisa's just having a long break, I don't know. Keel, yeah, thanks, yeah. So the body can hear this message beyond the me. Or is it even heard beyond the body? It's just heard, Keel. You know how you can hear these words? They're just heard, aren't they? I mean, I don't know what's hearing these words coming out of this mouth. They're just heard. I guess ears? I don't know. Brain? I just don't know. I don't know. And it doesn't matter, you see. It's just they are heard. The message is just heard. I can't describe what that's like. It's just hearing. It's just drinking coffee, which I need. The me is not hearing the words anyway. The sense of self is not hearing these words. It's just claiming it is. Yeah, who cares? Yeah, exactly. Sod it. Yeah, the sense of self might say, I'm hearing the words and I can't get it. That story could be running, but it's not the sense of self who is hearing the words. The words are just heard. Drinking coffee is just drank. There's nobody drinking coffee. There's just somebody saying, I'm drinking coffee. But no, the mouth is drinking the coffee. The sense of self claims every function that the body does. My body is drinking coffee, hearing words, seeing things. But no, it's not. It just claims it does. Because it isn't anybody. It's not real. It's a claiming energetic appearance. CDD. So my me can give up the idea that I need to use my brain to understand. And the obviousness of what is can be obvious even to a super tight contracted self. Yeah, it can be obvious, yeah. Like anything's obvious. You know, you do like a simple maths puzzle and you can't work it out. And then it just becomes obvious. Just becomes obvious. It's just like, oh yeah, how did I not see that? That's just so obvious. It's so simple. And yes, but I mean, it seems so easy to imagine me not being there, like disappearing. And then there's just what is, and the body left. It seems so simple, but me is still here. Yeah, it's just there till it's not. Yeah. Because imagining, you can't imagine this because this is already here. Imagining is another thing that is going on in this. Imagining plant, light, coffee. The whole thing is all happening at once. The sense of self separates it all out into I'm imagining this, but it is this, appearing as imagining. This can't be imagined. This can't be separated out into knowing, awareness, imagining, feeling, states. Those things are separate things, separated out. This is everything all at once. So it's impossible to separate it out as anything. That's why the sense of self can never get it, because the sense of self appears as separation, duality. It cannot ever get non-duality. It can never get it because it appears only as non-duality. But when that is suddenly not there, it's seen that it was the non-duality. It was that, just contracted down into a kind of a separate reality, thinking that I'm separate and this is somehow non-duality, but I'm separate from it. So I've got to get this, I've got to see this as non-dual, but I can't. No, it can't. It can't. Ramona, it's more like your bones hear the vibrations and the music in these words, and then they start dancing on it. Sorry, couldn't resist trying to explain. Yeah, it's just heard. It's just heard. I can't explain it. You know, when you hear music, you're just hearing music. Just hearing music. And often when you hear music, there's no story going on about I'm hearing music. I've got to find the music. Where's the music? I can't grasp the music. Where is it? Where is it? It's ungraspable. I'm trying to get it. So when this message is heard, it's a bit like hearing music. The sense of self will go, I need to get it. I need to grab it. But it's like trying to grab music. Can't grab it. But it's definitely heard. But you can't grab the hearing of it. Donnie, do you think all anxiety about the future can disappear if the sense of self is not there? Yes. Yes. Yeah, there's no longer a future for anybody. Yeah, it's just what's happening. Anxiety about the future. Yeah, that's a sense of self thing. My future, my life. Nobody has a life anymore. And that's actually, you know, that could sound awful to a sense of self, but my life. It's not your life anyway. Hi, Steve. In Zen, they used to say practice is awakening rather than practice leads to awakening. Kind of suggest it's in the behavior, though. What do you think? Practice it. There is no awakening. You might as well practice to make really good curry. It'll do the same thing. There is no practice to awakening because it's the end of awakening. It's freedom from awakening. That would just be something that appears. Practice doesn't lead to awakening because there is no awakening. It's just revealed. People call it awakening, I guess. I don't really like that because it sounds personal. Awakening. I have awakened. Mighty me has awakened because I sat in silence for 50 years. It's already, you're going to use the word awake, it's already awake. Everything is already alive. The desk, the air, the hair, everything is already alive. It's already here. So you can't practice to be what already is because it already is here. You can't get to what's already here. But all this practice thing, You know, I did try practicing years ago when I was a rampant seeker, but so boring. Oh my God, boring. Just sit there trying to, like, I remember sitting, trying to meditate in my like early 30s, late 20s, like sitting there, you know, as if I'm waiting for something to happen. But this character got bored of it. Was terrible at it. Terrible. Not sure if I'm imagining or whether it's real, but when I open my eyes, I'm still there. Um, when I open my eyes, I'm still there. You're not opening the eyes. I'm still there. Yeah, that's how it appears. The self appears as I am here. That's how it appears. So if you open your eyes, close your eyes, run a marathon, sit in silence, it's always going to feel like it's there until it's not. Until something goes, oh yeah, yeah, it's not real. It's not real. About the music, where is it? Yeah, yeah. Where is the music? It's just hearing it happening, isn't it? It's just happening. Breathing, it's just happening. Can't find the breathing. It's just breathing happening. Mona, I can't grasp the music. Give me that beat. I'd like to own it and understand it so I can add it to who I think I am. CDD, yes. Where? That's the question. Yeah, yeah. It's like trying to grab sound or trying to grab air. You can't grab this. You'd just be just grasping at air, really. With a sense of self, that's the way it works. It grasps at everything. It wants the freedom. It wants to feel better. That's this kind of base programming, base setting. I want to feel better. I want to go home. I want to rest. I want to be beyond it all. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of me, is the lament of the me. But what is pointed to here is that it's not true. It's not real. It's not a person. It's an appearance. And sometimes that can be just suddenly obvious. Just suddenly obvious. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You can't even grasp the me. Trying to grasp the sense of me is like trying to grasp music. It's just not there as a reality. It's just an appearance. You can't find the me because it's energetic. It has no. It just isn't anything. It just isn't anything. Nothing's real, says Joe. Exactly. Nothing's real. It just is. Just is. You can't say what this is. You can't say what the me is appearing. You can't say what anything is. You can't say what air is. Because they're all things. And saying them as things and explaining them as things is another thing. And the whole thing just appears at once. This is what's happening. This is appearing at once. And there's appearing in this is something saying, I want to know what that is. But that is it too. It's all at the same time. And it's always changing and moving. All the time. Night, day, hot, cold. Sleep, awake. Everything's just always changing. And it's two. you just can't get hold of it. Tangerine, trying to grasp music, yeah. Yeah, yeah, or if you see like a wall of red, trying to grasp the red. It's obviously red. There's no one seeing the red, it's just red there. There's no one seeing it. I'm seeing the red. I need to grasp red. I need to grasp it. You can't. It's just clearly color. And this is clearly this, and you cannot grasp it. And there's nothing to get. And I know that's like really hard for that one that's trying to grasp it. But it's nothing to grasp at. It's like trying to grasp at a color. You can't grasp it. And so how come imagining disappearing seems so real? It just does. It just does. When there's a sense of self, everything feels real. It's just what happens. Imagining disappearing is what happens. Imagining appearing is what happens. Everything seems so real. You know, I can touch the desk. It feels like a desk. You know, it feels real. But you know, in 20 minutes, I'll be going to make a cup of tea. Where's the desk gone? Try to grasp a noise. Yeah, you can't. So it's perplexing for that sense of seeking because it's trying to grasp at something it will never, ever grasp. And it thinks that because there's someone speaking about it here, that this body called Lisa has grasped something. But no, there's nothing to grasp. There's not anything in these circuits in this apparent brain that understands that. It's just really obvious that there's actually nothing to grasp. It's like grasping noise. You can't get it. Keel, funny that when the stories are made up, things seem more real. Yeah, it seems really real. These stories are real. They're my stories, and they're bloody real. Yeah, that's how it appears. It's hermetically sealed little reality. It's real. And these stories are real, and they're about me. And there's no me there because you can't find the me. And it will say, I'm here, I can feel I'm here. But you can't feel that. You know, try grasping the me. Can't. It's ungraspable, like everything else. It's made from nothing. This is all made from absolutely nothing. It's totally empty of it being something in particular. The something in particular is just something that is in it too. It's so completely complete that it can't be separated out as one thing or another. That's why it's totally ungraspable. And it doesn't mean because things are ungraspable and there's no anyone not grasping, it doesn't mean that this body mind of Lisa doesn't live a life of relationship with daughter and friends and, you know, and likes and dislikes. And, you know, my mom was ill this week and that was like, ouch, you know, ouch. She's all right, by the way. But, you know, it doesn't mean that it's that the life of the human is no longer lived, or it's somehow risen above everything. Now I can just sit down and just meditate all day. I don't need to do anything. Now I'm free. Mona, every time you say there's no me there, something is wildly enthusiastic and also very scared, like a cliff feeling that makes your heels go into the ground. Oh, but what then? What then? Yeah, because when it's heard, there's suddenly nothing to get hold of. And that sense of self, because it lives in getting hold of, because that's how it lives its life, controlling everything through stories and worry, it's got to always have something that it's got hold of, you know? And when that's taken away, it can be a feeling of fear, like a breathlessness, no air to breathe. What can I like? It's like climbing up the mountain. The air is rare. There's no air to breathe. Oof. Yeah. Donnie, how do you live as no one in the world when the world keeps putting on this me the sense of person identity, trying to not take that on, if you know what I mean? Yeah, well, when it's really obvious that the sense of self was never real, there is no other self. There are no other selves either. Everybody all at once disappears. Every person that this person used to believe was a person, it's not just that this person, this apparent person, disappears. Every other apparent person disappears. There's nobody on the planet anymore. There's just life blossoming and blooming and dying and changing, and it's all this tumultuous and yet empty appearance, which is so rich and full. So none of it, there is no person anymore. So there's nothing to put onto a sense of person. Yeah, if that makes any sense. Ramona, it's more, who would I be then? Who would I be then? Yeah, who would I be? Yeah, because it senses its demise. But I want to be somebody. I want to be somebody, even if it means being miserable. At least I know I'm alive. That's what it does. Joe, there's no thing to get because it's already got. Yeah, for no one. Oh, cool. Heal. But both the who and the loss of control aren't me, but it's just what appears, I guess. Yeah. It's just what appears. Everything is absolute aliveness appearing as everything. There's nothing personal in it. CDD. No persons, that's heaven. Yeah, because it's really awful, isn't it, having to relate to all these persons. Doesn't mean that this character doesn't, respond to other humans. It's still the same character, and it can be quite feisty if it needs to be. It's not that there's something here going, oh, I'm not touched by anything, so you can come and shout in my face and be an idiot, and I'm totally okay with that because I'm beyond it. And no, it's not like that at all. The body is then free to just go, no, absolutely no. Yeah. Andrea, but when it's not there, it's clear that this is and always has been there is, and it's so great. Yeah, it's just clear that it's always been this, and it's really simple. It's so obvious that when it's seen, you do wonder how you missed it. You do wonder, think, wow, it's so obvious. How did I miss it? It's like a bit of a slap in the face, really. I call it my facepalm moment. It's like, course. Richard. Just the constantly changing configuration of this. Yes. Yes. Yes, thanks. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Steve, practice is enlightenment. Is a bit of a clever use of words, really. Yeah. You could say that like washing your hair is enlightenment. It's just, it kind of, to me, it just sounds really stuck in some sort of religion, that sort of thing, in a doctrine. It makes practice important. Yeah, it's doctrine that makes people controllable because someone has shown them how. Yeah, yeah, totally. Keel, like a tree needs practice. Yeah, exactly. I need to practice being a tree. Here's my branches and leaves, my branches, my leaves, and I need to practice. Yeah. Okay, well, 9:30. Anyone has any last things before I go? We're quick as usual. It's really enjoyable. I thought I was going to be all sleepy because I woke up like an hour before the talk and it's just like, oh, kind of groggy. But since I get on and we start talking and stuff, it really does wake me up. I guess the coffee helps, but it really does, I enjoy it so much. I'm going to do my tree practice. Good luck. Oh, thanks. Thanks, guys. Oh, thank you. Yeah. And thanks for joining me. You guys make this talk really. Oh, you have mocha, chocolate mocha. Yeah, gorgeous. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll see some of you on Wednesday, and I'll be back next Sunday. Okay, lots of love, everyone. Bye.